What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to this week's episode of Dadish. This week we have a very good episode. We have a good friend of mine here that I've known for a very long time. Good father, very proud father. We discuss what it's like to raise children with an age gap, what it's like being a sports dad, and really what's required in his life to have balance between his job, his kids, and his wife. So thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and we'll see you next time. All right, everybody, welcome to the third episode of the Dad Ish podcast with your host, Ish. So today I have a very special guest, a very good friend of mine, Mike here. Mike has not only been, a friend of mine for a long time, he's also my barber. So there's a lot of stuff that we talk about on a on a bi-weekly basis about some stuff that I generally don't talk to normal people about. So, first off, I just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for taking your time and joining us tonight, and just check on you, see how everything's going.
Thank you, bro.
Well, good, man. Thanks for showing up. So the first thing I want to talk to you about was that. So I know it was a couple weeks ago. We were supposed to have this, and things kind of got in the way with some scheduling conflicts. And I know at the time you went on a family vacation. So how'd that vacation turn out?
Oh, it was cool, man. We had a lot of fun. Kids played with the snow. They had a blast. It was a really good trip.
Okay, so where'd you end up going to?
Steamboat, Colorado.
Nice. And
This is the northern part of the state.
okay, and was that the first time that y'all have been there?
Yeah, that was our first time, and we loved it.
Oh, that's good. It's really good. So, I mean, as we can tell, you got your daughter here with you. So I know you have three kids total, and how old are all of them?
My oldest is 12. That's my daughter. My son is 9, and then the baby, she is 2.
She's two. Okay. So how was it with traveling with the younger kid?
Oh man. Well, with all of them, it's very bad, very hard. But the 2-year-old, she's very clingy still,
Mhm.
and she doesn't understand the part of traveling. So she wants to walk around at the airport. She wants to walk around at the ski resort and just do her own thing. And that was pretty stressful.
So how does it work out when she wants to go and do her own thing? You try to like bring her back in.
Yeah, we just try to bring her back in, keep her like entertained. Sometimes we'll bring out like an iPad or her siblings will try to entertain her, and the grandparents helped out a lot too. They traveled with us, so they were a big blessing.
So I know y'all go on what a couple of family vacations a year. So I take it with having the siblings and having family there, it kind of makes it not too difficult. Because I mean, if it was too hard, you guys would have keep going.
Yeah, exactly. My in-laws, they help out so much, so they travel with us too on the vacations,
Mhm.
and just them coming is a big blessing. They help out so much, at the airport, traveling, and even if we're at the hotel or Airbnb, they'll take her, give her take a nap with her while we could do other things with the older kids, since there's a big age difference.
So, like you mentioned, you bring out the iPad. Is there anything else that you guys bring or that you prepare for those situations?
We'll bring toys and then a lot of snacks. Like snacks is a big
Snacks.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, snacks,
yeah,
snacks and juice.
yeah, for sure. That definitely helps out. So like you mentioned, there's an age gap between your two oldest and her. So first off, I mean, what made you guys decide to start over again?
We couldn't decide when to do it, and then
Mm,
just time kept on slipping away. And
mhm,
then when we thought it was right, then there was a 7-year age gap.
mm. Yeah, yeah, and that's pretty rough. I mean, me and my wife we talk about all the time, and I'm just like, man, like I can't imagine starting over again. Those nights, they're rough.
Yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. So with starting over, were you guys I mean, I know you just were saying, "Hey, like, time's slipping away," but were you guys, like, mentally prepared for what it's gonna be like having 2 older ones and then starting over?
You know what? I think my wife was more mentally prepared than I was. I was like, hey, I had 2 other kids. I thought I had everything under control. And then she came in and I was like, whoa, we got a whole nother baby again. We got another human being that we got to take care of. And it was kind of like a little shock, and I had to adjust.
Yeah, and so with your daughter and your son, do they help out a lot?
Oh yeah, especially the oldest, my daughter, she helps out a bunch. Like right now, today, for instance, my son had a soccer training, so we left. I I left the baby with her, and she watched her for about 30 minutes until my wife was able to get home and take over. So that's a
Mhm.
big help now that we could leave the oldest with just for 30 minutes max,
Right,
and
right.
that helps out. So I don't have to take her out in the cold or out on
Mhm.
the streets and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely a big help having, a sibling like that because trying to, it's the diaper bag. It's everything, it's like it's the snacks, it's the toys, it's finding stuff to
Yep.
keep them occupied. It's a lot. I that's and I think that's the part that kind of keeps us from starting over again because it's, now it's like we're ready to go somewhere. It's like you just pack, you just are your shoes on? Did you go to the restroom? Okay, let's go. It's not
Yep.
about, a change of clothes and some food. It's like, you just get to go. So that's I feel you there. Um
Yep.
and so like you mentioned, your son, he's doing soccer and it seems like it's been what? It's like a kind of like a year round he's been doing it.
Yeah, soccer's year round, and there's 2 seasons in the year.
And is your daughter, is she doing any sports right now?
She actually just made the soccer team for her middle school
Oh, that's
last
awesome.
week. Yeah,
Oh, that's awesome, man. Congratulations. That's good. It's really
thank
good to hear.
you.
So you have your son doing soccer, you have your daughter doing soccer. How do you how do you balance everything?
Oh man, honestly, it's all my wife. She's able to do everything. I do Mondays, that's my day off.
Mhm.
And so Christina, she'll do Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then soccer. The games are on Saturdays, so leave work and I'll meet them at the fields if the times conflict with my schedule.
Do you go back to work? Or you just call it after that?
It just depends. So like if the game is a morning game, then I'll start later, and I'll go in the second part of the day. And then if it's in the afternoon, I might just leave and at noon, and then I won't go back.
Okay. And so, I mean, you have days that you got to go. You have soccer practice, you have work, you have your wife's schedule. Do you guys set up some type of like calendar to keep everybody on track?
So we don't set up a calendar. I guess we got everything on a roll now. But
Mhm.
then again, my in-laws help out a bunch with that too. So my mother-in-law, she'll come and I'll stay with the baby in the morning time. I'll go to work. She'll relieve me, and she'll stay with the baby until the older kids come home from school, and then she'll get my son ready for soccer. Christina will come home, and then they'll just take off from soccer, and then she'll stay with my oldest daughter and the baby until my wife is able to come back home.
Man, so you guys got it down like clockwork. Like who's in,
Yeah.
who's out, shifting.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and then sometimes my mother-in-law will even start dinner for us too, or she'll complete the whole dinner and then
mm,
have everything ready for when my wife and my son get home.
that's awesome. So, I see you post videos of, your son a lot at soccer practice, a lot in the games. And so I've seen the progress of them, improve gradually. And that's a cool experience from someone from a spectator. But can you tell us what it's like being a parent, being out there and watching your son day in, day out, put that work in, and then getting those results?
Oh man, it's amazing. It's a proud feeling that you can't really explain. And then when you see them do highlights or score a goal, it's just it feels like you're doing it, and you're just watching your own kid. So
Mhm.
it's a very good feeling.
And has he faced any adversity like in now that he's in sports?
Yeah. So he's playing up. So that's a big challenge. Everybody's bigger than him. Everybody's faster than him. So he's having to use his brain a lot, and use the skills that he has at his age to try to get past defenders that are older and bigger than him.
Mhm. And so let's just say he's going out there, he has a rough game. What are you telling him to encourage him to keep going?
Oh man, just stay positive and don't just forget about anything that happened. Just keep going, keep going forward.
Mhm. And so I know it was back in the summer, your daughter, she was trying out for the volleyball team and that didn't work out. So can you tell us what was that like, whenever I'm sure she was upset. I mean, how could you not be? How did you face that and how did you console her and make sure that she wasn't taking it too hard.
Yeah, we just talked to her a lot, and then she was actually very good about it, and she had a very good mind, a mind just to keep going forward, and she was looking at all the other sports too. So soccer is her number one sport,
Hmm.
and volleyball and basketball were going to be pluses. So she actually got cut from both of those, but it didn't discourage her from trying out the next sport when the next season was coming up. So she ran cross country, she made that team, and she enjoyed it, and it seemed like she excelled at it, and so now she's also preparing for track. So that's she's very excited for that.
Oh man, so now you got to put track on the schedule also.
Yep.
Sounds like you're gonna have a real busy spring.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really good to hear. I mean, when you face adversity, it's you have two decisions. It's either you can give up or you can keep going. And having that support, especially from your parent, makes a big difference. I know from previous conversations that we've had, you've mentioned that your father was a very good dad for you. You said that he was always there for you. Um, what do you or how do you think that's played a role in you being a father?
I think he taught me how to be a good role model, and and I guess he just taught me how to be a good dad. Just try my best and be there. And then I just want to be better than what he was. And I'm sure he probably thought about the same about his father. So I just want to, and I'm pushing my son to be a better person than me. So I don't want to say I'm a better father than my dad, but I'm trying to do my best.
Mhm. Do you have any stories or any memories that about your father that really stand out to you that you could share?
Man, one thing I do remember, he was teaching me how to ride a bike, and he took off the training wheels, and I was just gunning it down the street, and I didn't know how to brake. And that was back when you used to, do it backwards and
Mhm,
the pedals to brake, and
mhm,
I just couldn't do it. And my dad was just like running, chasing me down, and then he right before I was about to crash into a parked car, he stopped me and saved me right there. And I just remember him at the time being 5 years old, thinking that he was so big and fast and stopping me, and so that always stuck with me.
yeah, for sure. I mean, how could it not? I mean, that's pretty cool. Your oldest your oldest child, she's a daughter, and when you first found out that you were gonna have a kid, were you expecting a girl? Were you expecting a boy? How did that come about?
Oh man, I wanted a boy, but I just felt like I was gonna produce a girl. I don't know why, but I just felt like I was gonna have a girl first. And in my own family, my sister's the firstborn and I'm the second. So I guess that's how it was gonna be, and that's exactly how the first two were. It was a girl and then a boy, just like my parents had.
Mhm. And so when you found out the news, do you remember that day?
Oh yeah, I was so excited. I called everybody and texted everybody that I knew, family wise, to tell them what it was.
That's good. That's so you're really proud and, like, just
Yeah.
ready for it to be a girl? Okay. Yeah, because 'cause I've
Yep.
told this story before, but so I I never even thought I could have a girl. Like, I so when we got the news that it was gonna be a girl, like, I was stunned. I was like, "What?" Like, I didn't even know I could have a daughter. I thought I could only have boys, and then
Yeah.
and then, here I am now sitting with 2 daughters. And so I was just like, well, obviously God had other plans for me because boy
Yep.
wasn't in my future. Um, so are you guys planning on having any more, or are you guys done?
I joke because the other two, they have each other. Even though they're 3 years apart, get to watch TV together, watch movies, they play games together. And I feel bad that the baby, with that 7 year gap from the middle child, is just her by herself. So I'll joke, and I'll tell Christina, like, let's have a fourth. But then she'll throw a tantrum or something. And I'm like, no, I don't want to have another kid.
That's how it is with us. We'll be, like, making dinner, and then they'll be like, "Oh, what are you making?" And you're like, "Oh, I'm making chicken." "Well, I don't want chicken." And it's like, "That's why you're the last one." Like, it's
Yep.
like, I'm not trying to do this anymore. So
Yep.
so, your daughter, your oldest, she's 12. You said,
Yes.
has she mentioned or even brought up the idea of dating?
No, and I'm glad that she has it.
So do you think that she would discuss that with you, or do you think she would maybe go to her mom more or her
Yeah,
father?
I think she'll go to my wife over me.
And what's your stance on that?
I'm fine with it because since they're both females,
Mhm.
I think my wife could talk to her better than how I would talk. They would come
Right.
from the same views.
Yeah, and I think that's I feel like that's the part that terrifies me about having daughters is that, you know, I can't relate to them as much as my wife can. They ask me so many things, I'm not gonna lie. They right now they'll bring up the subject of a bra, and I'm like, I got no answers here for you. Like,
Yeah,
like, you need to wait till your mom comes home, she can fill you in. Like, I don't know anything I don't know anything about that. I know how to unhook them. That's about it. Like,
yeah.
like, don't ask me anything else. Um, and so my next question for you is, and it's kind of a trending question that I like to ask with all my guests is, this podcast, I really wanted to target, you know, fathers that are new fathers, fathers that may be about to become a father, have a one on the way. So, do you have any advice, or what advice could you provide to someone that's getting ready to have a kid?
Oh man. So Christina had me sign up for all the stuff at the hospital, like the first time dad, the classes where the doctor and the mother are doing those breathing, you know, practices or whatever. So I suggest, and then she bought me books. So and honestly, I probably read just skimmed through the books. Probably I didn't read them at all. Just little pieces here and there. But I suggest like just doing some type of little bit of research of a kid and how to do if they're choking they teach you how to help them with that and just be more aware of what's to come and instead of just getting blindsided and waiting till the baby is here and learning everything. If you have a nephew or a niece or some cousins that you could watch a kid, that I think that would help also.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and I definitely agree. I mean, if you go in not knowing what to expect, it's gonna be a rude awakening. And I kinda
Yeah.
feel like that's what happened to me also because, I never read the books either. Like, it would be like the same thing, like, I'll glance through the books. I didn't pay attention much. Like, I didn't even to be honest with you, up until the baby got here, I didn't even know that they need to feed every 2 to 3 hours when they're first born. Like, I had no expectations. I'm like, "Why is this baby crying?"
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know. I'm like, "Should they wake up in the morning?" I the whole, setting up a sleep schedule, none of that. I didn't know any of it, and yeah, definitely, I agree. So, someone that's getting ready to have a kid, I mean, that's definitely one thing is being aware and being prepared for what's about to come because it's definitely a life-changing event without a doubt. So, with that being said, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate you, being a part of this and providing information to anyone that's listening to this podcast. So, thanks, man. I
No,
really
thank you.
appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for the interview, bro.
Yeah, you got it. Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of Dadish. I think next week we're gonna try something a little bit different. I think I'm gonna go ahead and give you my story. So next week we're gonna look at filming an individual episode where I let you guys know how it all started for me, and the reason behind this podcast. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week.